going to Talladega, where manufacturers tend to work together. Do you anticipate you and the other Ford, Austin Cindric, working together there?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had a phone call at 11 o'clock. All those crew chiefs, drivers, and even Ford who are on it, just trying to figure out, what's the best strategy going into it. I feel like every super speedway race, me and Austin have tried to really stick together, and it's hard when there's only two of you to just the numbers just don't work for you. But I feel like every race we've gotten a lot better of understanding how each other super speedway race. And obviously the main goal is to push Austin to hopefully have enough stage points where he's clinched, and then from there we can just both race, but still obviously try to help each other out.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Woody Kane. Go ahead with your question, Woody.
Hey, Chase, appreciate your time.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Everything that's going on this year and you having the spectacular season that you're having on the track, have you had a moment where you can kind of take a step back and go, wow, this has been some kind of ride here, or are you just too much in the thick of it now to even think that way?
No, I feel like, I've really tried to keep in perspective, every week, what this season has been about. Seasons like this don't happen every year. The last time I had a season like this was in the ARCA series, and, it makes you appreciate them more when you're not going through them. But I think just going over the last couple of years and not having the success that I would like to have, just makes you appreciate every win, everything that we've been able to do. And, it's been different with COVID, truthfully, even to kind of put into perspective, the year we've been having. But at the same time, I feel like, perfect example is getting that Indianapolis ring yesterday. Stuff like that just reminds you of, the kind of season that we've had. And, how cool for me it is just to get to drive these race cars week in and week out. And, I feel like I always try to keep a pretty good perspective of that. And just, I think a lot of that's the same reason why you don't see me get mad and want to go fight people is at the end of the day, even if I run 35th, I'm still making a living driving race cars. I'm going to do what I dreamed of doing it. And, it could always be a lot worse. So I feel like I try to always keep that perspective. But this year, yeah, I feel like I've really enjoyed and really, not taking for granted the success that we've had. I feel like I've really tried to appreciate every moment of it. And, hopefully we'll have more of that throughout the year.
And then, if you will, skip ahead a week to the Roval. Is there much of a difference from the way you attack the courses when it's a combination road course on an oval versus I guess for lack of a better phrase, a traditional road course, like one that's built for road racing? Do you do something different at those?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've all drove different. The Roval, Daytona, none of those really run like an actual road course, I don't feel like. And for me, what I like about them is the Roval, I think, is the perfect scenario where you go to the infield, you have to be really smooth, finesse. Overdriving doesn't make you go any faster. But then you get on the big track and into that final chicane, it's elbows up, who's the bravest guy. And, you just have those two totally different types of driving styles that go into that one track. And that's just what I like about it is, it seems like these Rovals, they all kind of run that way. Daytona was the same way in the infield. It was so slick. You got to be so smooth and so precise. And then you get on the big track and you do the bus stop and the final chicane, it's just elbows up. Who's the bravest guy driving it down in there? And I enjoy that part of it. I feel like, a traditional road course, you don't necessarily have that. They just drive different. As weird as that sounds, you'd think they'd be the same, but I do feel like they race quite a bit different, or at least drive different.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Greg Engel. Go ahead with your question, Greg.
Hey, Chase, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Speaking of all the good stuff besides the wins and stuff, you had an associate sponsor come on for this weekend at the last minute. That's got to be a shot in the arm to have somebody, willing to come up with that and talk about the fact that there isn't that associate sponsor, and it's a last minute thing. So that kind of, you have to kind of scramble for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. We had the U.S. Census Bureau come on at literally the last minute, Wednesday. So it was really the last minute to be on, but I think it's cool for me, especially to have that kind of success that we've had this year, that people still want to hop on board and are reaching out to do stuff. So it was definitely a shot in the arm for our program. Financially, we weren't expecting to get any more money the rest of the year from a sponsorship standpoint. And to have that kind of, sponsorship come on board literally the week of the race is a huge thing for our program. So, I think it's going to help us all throughout Phoenix, and hopefully we can get those guys a good run this weekend.
And what did you know about the census coming into this, and how much did you have to learn, like a crash course, so to speak of? That's
no,
good.
I sent mine in a couple months ago, so I was good to go. I always get the letters in the mail, so I at least knew what it was.
Thank you, my friend. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Dustin Long. Go ahead with the question, Dustin.
Thank you. Chase, with NASCAR adding more road courses and looking to even do that maybe more so in the future, and also emphasizing short tracks, I'm curious, if you were to go and talk to younger drivers, what would be the tip in terms of development and what things they should be looking for if this sport makes more of a push toward more road courses? I mean, obviously not a series that's going to be all road courses or anything like that, but where there's more of it than certainly there has been in the past, and even maybe the emphasis on short tracks as opposed to the big tracks. How does that change the driver, what a driver would need to do, and how does somebody get that development, or what would you advise them at an early age?
Yeah, it's tough. I think from an early age, at least, for me, growing up in Indiana, there wasn't a hotbed of road courses around me. We had dirt tracks everywhere, which, truthfully, I always say it after almost every single road course race. It reminds me a lot of sprint car racing, and I feel like, you see dirt guys always be pretty successful in the road course stuff, just because I think it does correlate a lot as far as, just the mentality of trying to keep your tires hooked up. You're just, jumping curbs, you're getting after it, and you have to really be up on the wheel. And, I think it's hard to, for me at least, just with my experience growing up, I can't say, hey, this is what I would go do to get ready for a road course race. I think the biggest thing that helped me was when Ford sent me to run those IMSA races. The cars drive totally different, not anything comparable, but just getting laps on a road course, and even going to a rental go-kart track, just getting that mentality of how to run a road course. And, you go to right down the road, GoPro Motorplex, and you can figure out things that work and don't work on that road course. And normally you can apply that kind of stuff to the other road courses. It seems like it's always that same mentality of where's that fine line of making up time getting into the corner, but also not hurting your time out of the corner. And I think you can learn that anywhere, at any road course, whether that's a rental go-kart track or, anything. So, from an experience standpoint, I think it's hard to say, hey, go do this. This is going to make you 100% better, because it's different for everybody. For me, I felt like sprint cars really help, but I also feel like rental go-karts help. And probably not everybody else is going to have that same mentality. So, I like the fact that we're going to have some more road courses. I think it certainly, it's just a different type of driving style. But at the end of the day, if you're a good race car driver, you're going to be able to run good on a road course after you get some experience. So, I'm excited to watch the road course racing more and more. I think it's really exciting for our fans. It's just something different. Obviously, like you said, it's not going to turn into a full-time road course series, but to have that parity of, having the Cup Series guys, obviously we don't know where the Xfinity trucks are going to go, but to me, the Cup Series drivers are the best drivers in the world. So you want to see them challenged at every discipline. And now with the new schedule, we get to see that. We get to see him now at a dirt track. We get to see him on a road course, short track, intermediate, super speedway. We get to see him now challenged at every single discipline. And I like the road course stuff. I think it creates a lot of drama, and it just creates a lot of good storylines.
And as a dirt guy, your thoughts of a Bristol dirt race, and is that something you're fired up for, or is that something that you're thinking, well, maybe this is better left for some of the other tracks that are naturally dirt tracks?
No, I'm super excited. Anytime you can add a dirt race, I feel like that's just going to help me. Eldora was always one that I had circled that I felt like I could go and win. So for me, anytime you can add any type of dirt race to any schedule, in a pavement series, I feel like I'm going to have a little bit of an advantage. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'll never forget the first time I walked into Bristol. My first thought was, I cannot believe the World of Outlaws ran here. And, just how big and fast it is for those guys. But, just the banking, I'm definitely curious to see how it works. I think Eldora, truthfully, is probably the perfect racetrack for, non-purposely built dirt cars to go run. Just from the banking standpoint, how it races, the dirt, everything is just really good for that. But, Eldora would probably have a hard time hosting a cup race from a logistical side of things. Seating, obviously, you couldn't fit that many people in it. So from that standpoint, I think Bristol is a phenomenal place to do it. And from a racetrack standpoint, I think there is going to be some challenges just from the banking side of things. I'm not sure how it's going to race with our cars with that much banking, but I think another good possibility, maybe down the road they're looking into this. I think Loudon would be a perfect racetrack to go dirt racing. It's got a little bit of bank. It would be just like the miles that the ARCA cars run. And I just think it'd be a really cool event. You could have the big block modifieds come and run a big race or whatever. So, I think down the road, if Bristol is a good success, Loudon would be a really good one to add that to. But I'm excited to add dirt racing. I think the fans are going to be excited, and I'm excited to see, how it turns out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question will come from Marty Sakala. Go ahead with your question, Marty.
Thank you, Matt. Chase, first off, I definitely agree on that big block modified quote. I'd be definitely up for that. How are you today, though, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. This weekend, once we complete the weekend in Talladega, the Xfinity Series will finally be back on its normal schedule. Since coming into the year, we weren't supposed to be in Dega this fall. How does it feel then, pretty much finally getting back to normal?
Yeah, truthfully, I haven't even thought about it. Now it just feels normal, the schedule we've been running. I want to say we started back the second week of May or whatever, and that I haven't had an off weekend since the one off weekend the Xfinity Series had. I went and ran an IMSA race. So for me, I've kind of been in the flow for a while now of just racing every weekend, and I don't even know where we're going half the time the next week. So especially now with how messed up it's been. So I feel like we've been on the same schedule just like normal for a while now. So it'll be nice that we've caught up finally. It's cool that we were able to do that. And obviously Talladega was a pretty big loop thrown into our schedule. But fortunately for us, since we won last week, we don't have to worry about it in the playoffs. So I'm excited for that and obviously going to the road with the same mentality.
And just a quick follow-up on Dustin's question. We had Brad Keselowski here last week and was talking about the Bristol Dirt Race, and he said that the tires really need to be significantly improved for that race. Now that the Bristol Dirt Race is confirmed for 2021, and you've raced dirt before, obviously, with that win in Eldora a few years ago, what other improvements should NASCAR really make, whether it be the car itself or the format for this race, to have fans, media members alike, have all of us say, wow, this is amazing?
I think that's a tough question because, for one, I don't know what the Cup Series is going to look like from a standpoint of, the trucks. There's a lot of people that, go buy a truck for that one race a year that are dirt guys that show up, and you have to legitimately send people home. Where in the Cup Series, I don't understand the charter stuff enough to know if that's even a possibility that, hey, there could be 50 Cup cars show up to this one race. Because I do think if the possibility presents itself, I think you'll see a lot of guys that have dreamed of running a Cup race, coming and going and buying an older car and if that's even possible, converting it over and trying to run that race. So from that standpoint, I don't know if they're going to have heat races and all that stuff. The tire, I don't have a problem with the Eldora tire. I didn't think it was bad. I think it could have wore maybe a little bit more, but at the same time, the biggest component to me to make Bristol a great race is you have to have good dirt and you have to have good track prep. We don't want to do this one race and it'd be really dusty. I don't think that does any justice to anybody. And, the K&N race at Vegas a couple of years ago was, kind of in that situation where it's dusty, kind of one lane, and it just doesn't do justice to dirt racing. I don't think it almost gives it a bad look. And, the common fan that's never watched a dirt race, they think that it is dusty and you can't see anything. And, that's not the case. It's, if the track is prepped well, it puts on incredible racing. And that's the biggest component of all of this is you have to have a really well-prepared racetrack, and the dirt is obviously a key ingredient to that. So I'm curious to see what they do for dirt. I think the tricky thing is when you talk about the track prep side of things, you can't have a really tacky racetrack with a lot of grip and moisture because we have windshields. And you can't see, obviously, once too much dirt gets on there. So it's a really fine line of how do you make the racetrack good, but where it doesn't affect our cars from overheating and all these things where you can't see. And, that's one thing I think Tony has done a fantastic job on at Eldora, is really making the racing good and not dusty, but also making it where we can see and do all these things. And if I was Bristol and even NASCAR, I think it would be really wise to get Tony involved, because he obviously knows both worlds and what it takes to make it do good.
Thanks for your time, and good luck to you this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
We have time for one more question, and I'll go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah, Chase, yesterday Steve O'Donnell said only 8 races will have the traditional practice. I'm curious if that would change your mind or impact your any sort of decision on going Cup racing next year.
No, not really. I feel like, you know, regardless, if you move up, you have to be able to adapt quickly and figure it out. And, you know, I would assume that even the Xfinity side is going to have even less practice than the Cup Series. So I think that's going to be the new normal, which is, it's going to be hard for any rookie down the road. But, you know, I feel like the rookies this year have still done a really good job of, you know, managing that no practice. And truthfully, I don't know if no practice isn't an advantage to a rookie, because obviously just getting track time and getting to know how the car runs is a help. But outside of that, I think where you see guys really get beat is when these veterans can practice their car and get it exactly how they know they need it. Whereas a rookie, you don't know what you need. So, you know, I think that's one advantage, is these veterans aren't going to be able to do that anymore. They're going to have to just figure it out and go. And, you know, obviously it's going to be hard for whoever moves up to lap one of the race be your first lap in that type of car at that racetrack and all those things. But, you know, all these guys are so good race car drivers. They figure it out normally within 15, 20 laps anyways. So, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing having no practice. If anything, I think it might be an advantage, because, you know, I think Kyle Busch even said it. It's been harder for him to run good with no practice because he can't get the car how he wants it. So, you know, I'm not against the no practice thing. I think it honestly, in my eyes, helps my situation if I get to move up, because then you just have to figure it out and go. Everybody's on the same playing field. Nobody's car drives perfect, and, you know, it puts it back in the driver's hands. So I'm not against it. I actually kind of like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Chase, thanks for taking the time, and good luck this weekend at Talladega Super Speedway.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.